On this new series I'm going to start doing for you guys, we'll be looking at how some of the best AWPers around the world AWP on the T side on different maps. To start us off with this series, I'll be taking a look at Sh1ro on Vertigo, as Gambit's probably most known map to dominate on. On this third round we'll be first looking at guys versus Heroic. Sh1ro will be going glass cannon after getting the bomb down in the first round and also saving on the second round completely, being able to afford it. He will use his spawn to go for this peek on the crane just to see if he can catch anyone peeking this early angle in the round, but sadly there isn't anyone here. After getting off this angle, Sh1ro will then jump onto the back panels of bottom ramp. I personally call this position Sh1ro. In one of the teams I used to be on, we have this call out as Sh1ro because we know he loves playing this position and playing around with these angles quite a lot. Unfortunately, Sh1ro actually does get taken out here by Tessus, as he just wasn't fast enough essentially. Moving on to the fifth round versus Heroic now, Sh1ro will be making his way towards the A ramp once again. As if you have played Vertigo a lot yourself, you will already know that this area of the map is the most important to have control over. Sh1ro does actually find a pixel gap just above the ramp smoke thrown down by Heroic, so he can see a CT does drop down and play very aggressive, and he can then give this information for his team. Heroic gets chunked down a lot just from spam and also utility damage from the side of Gambit. Sh1ro does actually line up this flashbang, but he doesn't throw it. This flashbang is used to pop where the ramp smoke just is. However, again, like I just said, he doesn't throw it in this situation, but the way that you throw it is by getting yourself wedged into this corner, aim on the line of the vent, using both left and right click throw the flashbang to work as a pop flash towards ramp. As the ramp smoke has now gone away that Heroic threw earlier on in the round, this now gives Gambit the chance to retake this area of the map. As you can see, Sh1ro is juggling around quite a bit of utility here, making sure just a Molotov off towards sandbags and also throwing a Molotov towards short by getting himself in this corner, aiming up to this place on the wall, and again, just like the flashbang I just showed you, using a left and right click throw to land. After throwing this Molotov, Sh1ro will use a run jump throw flashbang, go towards short, allowing for his teammate to peek in this position, following his Molotov just to essentially get the map control back from Heroic. On the 6th round, guys, Sh1ro and also Gambit is able to play this round completely different due to this one little mistake by Heroic by missing their ramp smoke. As you can see, this gives Sh1ro so many more angles to be checking to make sure there aren't any CTs pushed up towards ramp. I want you to notice while we are watching Gambit take ramp control and also how Sh1ro is positioning himself in order to support his teammates the best he can. He is making sure to be checking every single little angle you can think of just before looking over and around the pixels of these smokes, just to make sure he isn't missing anything. Before posting up just to watch the short push, allowing for both of his teammates on ramp to be focusing on towards sandbags and crane. After Gambit is now taking ramp control, they'll get ready for this final hit on towards the A site. Sh1ro will then throw once again the Molotov we just had a look at before, throwing this for the left and right click throw, and also throwing this smoke towards elevator. This smoke is a little bit hard to replicate because the lineup isn't very clear, so I suggest you just go into an empty server yourself, mess around with it a little bit, find something that works for you and do it yourself. Sh1ro will then take on the position of sandbags, being in a very strong position with the AWP to make sure the CTs cannot retake the site. On this round, Heroic will be going for a very aggressive ramp take. Let's see how Sh1ro deals with this amount of pressure so early on in the round against Heroic. Nafany does get taken out by Borup early on in the round, however, Sh1ro does actually trade this a little bit later on. After getting this kill onto Borup, Sh1ro will then line up this pop flash for ramp, similar to the one we just had a look at. The way he throws this is by getting against the edge of the bridge, aiming at the top of this metal framed triangle and left click throw. As you can see, he is very cautious of any CTs that could be pushed up all the way close towards this deep ramp smoke, just making sure to not get caught off, clearing every single angle you can think of before going through. Moving on to one of the early rounds versus Vitality now, Sh1ro does go for this early peek on towards stairs just to see if he can find an entry. He does miss the shot on the enemy of Vitality, however he does fall back quickly towards ramp with Nafany. Sh1ro does throw this flashbang that we just looked at in order for Gambit to peek as safe as possible towards ramp, and as Sh1ro's teammates are slowly making their way up ramp, Sh1ro does line up this flashbang but does not throw it. The flashbang can be used to pop behind this sandbag, allowing for a deep control of ramp, and the way you line this this up is by getting on this side of the box, aiming in the middle of the triangle, crouch and left click throw. Make sure to do this lineup correctly as I just explained it, as it is very specific. As you can see, it's pixels away from touching the metal frame. If you do it from any of these other positions, or just not even crouching for example, it will not work at all. So make sure you do it in the correct way to not flash your entire team. After this, Nafany does go down to Sh1ro on sight. However, Sh1ro does chase him down to make sure to not give Sh1ro the chance to fall back and reposition. Overall, I don't think there is much more I can cover on Vertigo T-side AWPing. Sh1ro is one of the best in the world that does it, and what I really want for you to take away from this video, guys, is when and how Sh1ro is using his utility, how he is positioning himself with the angles he is watching, and also how passive he is playing on ramp due to it being a very hard area of the map to deal with as an AWPer as a whole on the T side of Vertigo. Just while I have you here, guys, if any of you are on Twitter, I do use it a fair amount, so go follow me and tweet at me if you're wanting to give me any new video ideas. It's always great to hear from you. It's been Glaze, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll speak to you very, very soon.